Well, it's always a pleasure to have our regular Thursday offering for all of us, Thursday Kos, with the founder of the largest online progressive community. Markos Moulitsas is also the founder of Civics with a Q and the host of the most popular podcast, The Brief, every Tuesday. Um, Markos and I are, as many of you in our audience and beyond, so devastated by the loss of our friend Eric Boehlert. Before we talk about it, though, we got a special message from a friend who was going to try to join us for the broadcast today, but she couldn't because of her schedule. But she sent this message for us to share
Hey,
with
Mark,
all of
and hey, Make It Plain audience. I'm so sorry that I can't be there with you guys today, but I did want to just weigh in to share with you all my thoughts about the great Eric Boehlert. What a truth teller. What a loss for all of us and for journalism. I mean, he was one of our favorite guests, one of our most frequent guests. He was almost pretty much a weekly guest. We took his weekends away almost every weekend on AM Joy. And also we loved having him on the Reid Out because he was just a truth teller. He held us accountable. He made us be accountable as journalists for what we say and what we don't say, what the media often refuses to say. His Twitter feed, his Substack, everything about Eric was about truth and was about honesty. And so I am just bereft, along with you and so many other people, Mark, for the loss of this great man. And I just want to share my deepest, and the Reid Out families and AM Joy families' deepest condolences to his wife, Tracy, and to their kids. Wishing you all peace in knowing the greatness of the man you shared with the world. Cheers.
Thank you to Joy Reid for that. I attended the funeral Tuesday in Montclair, New Jersey, Markos, and it was quite emotional. It was, you never would have known that it was COVID or we were still coming out of COVID. It was packed. It was a large church. It was wall to wall people in there, brother. It was something else, and a great tribute to the many people Eric touched.
Yeah. I was stunned. And I know we were texting that morning, and I just didn't seem real, and kept hoping that it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Or a misunderstanding. And then seeing that confirmation was just a blow. And Eric wrote for Daily Kos. But more importantly, he was a friend. Like he was somebody that we would we sit there and commiserate about the sorry state of American media, and then we'd bounce ideas off each other. And I press run his Substack was quite frankly amazing. Right, it was one of the most cogent, consistently quality critiques on the traditional media, and he never took the cheap shots. I mean, it was very thoughtful and very fair in its assessments, and he was even aside from being a friend and being a great person, because he was all those things, everybody loved him. Some of the people that were most affected at Daily Kos were the copy editors, people he worked with directly working on his copy. Were devastated, given just their frequent interactions and how kind and nice and fun he was. But you look at his contribution of the progressive movement, and it's the loss of that is quite devastating. So it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough hearing the news. I'm still in disbelief, and there's a huge gaping void where he once stood.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, our prayers are with his family, and as Soledad O'Brien said in her eulogy, in his memory, we have to keep on. We have to continue his work and hold the Beltway media, the mainstream media, accountable. One of the things that we talked about most recently on this show was how the media still um, beats up on Biden. Won't give credit for, pretty good jobs numbers, but only wants to focus on inflation, the constant drumbeat of Dems in disarray from the New York Times and other so-called mainstream media. But he pointed all that out, and no one. I mean, that was a lane he was in. He was so good at it. I think everyone let him have that lane. They're like, you got that, man. You we
He
got you.
had, yeah, I think it was a week before the accident. He wrote, he had found the same organization. I think it might have been Reuters or Bloomberg. It was 200,000 jobs increased during the Trump administration, and it was an excellent job report. Then a couple of months, I think last month, 200,000 jobs increase Biden administration, and it was disappointing.
Yeah,
Like those are the things. I don't know if he had a photographic memory, because he would pull these strands where the same reporter, the same media organization would take the exact same set of facts, but one of them was a Republican, one was a Democrat, and the way they framed the stories always gave Republicans the benefit of the doubt or
right,
gave them credit, and they never would do the same for Democrats. There was a definite double standard, and his ability to make that contrast stark and clear and obvious and objective. A lot of people, we get lazy. It's like, oh yeah, the liberals conservative, right? Like, no, he had the receipts, and he laid them out in such a way that it was impossible to conclude otherwise. It was truly providing an objective argument for the media double standard that always, always gives Republicans the benefit of the doubt and doesn't give credit to Democrats under any circumstances. And
right,
the state of the economy is a perfect example, right? We have the lowest unemployment rate, the lowest number of new unemployment claims in history, the highest wages in history, and yet inflation, inflation, inflation.
yeah, yeah. And inflation brought on by an ongoing conflict in Ukraine. So long live the spirit of Eric Boehlert, and long live those of us who understand the importance of keeping that spirit alive.